Hello, fifth graders. This is social studies for the week of May 26th, through the 29th. And this is our last week of social studies for new lessons. Next week will be a makeup week. And then also there'll be some fun activities coming your way for next week. So check in for those. But today's lesson that you have both today and tomorrow to do, you're going to be looking at the advantages and disadvantages for both sides, meaning the British and the colonists. And then you're also going to be looking at important battles of the war. And then for Thursday and Friday this week, you'll have the end of the Revolutionary War, looking at the Battle of Yorktown and then the Treaty of Paris. So today what we're looking at is we're learning that there were advantages and disadvantages that both sides had. You will also be identifying and learning about some of the important battles that took place during the Rev War. Today's task, you're going to read about the advantages and disadvantages for both sides and then complete the Google Doc. And then you're going to select one important video or one important battle, select a video to watch on that battle, and then you're going to complete a form on that as well. So, looking right now at the advantages and disadvantages. First of all, for the colonists, as far as their advantages, they had the home field advantage. They had a cause to fight for. The freedom that they would get would be their motivation. George Washington was a qualified leader. Guerrilla warfare, new tactics that the British weren't used to. They had capable men who knew how to lead. And promotion, the men could move up the ranks with individual merit and performance on the battlefield. Some disadvantages, though, for the colonists were they had really no uniforms, they had no navy, they had untrained soldiers, many were farmers, they had lack of cannons, gunpowder, and weapons. They only had a population of 2 million, and only 175,000 of them could be put into military service based on their age and their gender. The main trade partner was Britain, and because that was who they were fighting, there was no trade income that would be coming in during the time of the war. They had to depend on other countries for funds and money, meaning that volunteers and militia was their main resource for soldiers. They were always short on supplies and they lacked the basic needs. 10,000 soldiers was all that they had, and so a very, very small army, and little money was available for paying the soldiers, so many were going without and being able to send money home to their families. Advantage for the British. They had a wealthy economy and more money than the colonists. They actually had $12 million to spend. And remember, this is, about 240 years ago, so 12 million would go a lot further today. Biggest navy and most powerful army in the world at that time is what the British had. They had highly trained and experienced soldiers. They had a population of 8 million people, so they had a lot more people to draw from for fighting. They had a professional army and the best weapons available at that time. And they had Native Americans and Hessians who were Germans that were fighting on their side. Disadvantages for them, they were much more noticeable and easy targets because of their red uniforms. They were 3,000 miles from home, so it was harder to get supplies, and soldiers suffered from being homesick. Unlike the colonists, they couldn't go and visit their families. They had they had less reasons to fight hard, no motivation. They risked constant attack. They weren't familiar with the land, and it made them an easy target to being attacked. They expected a quick war. It lasted for over 6 years, and supplies and troops and soldiers had to be shipped over, and that would take like 6 weeks to get here. Their leaders were always arguing. The promotions were given to family and status, and so the most qualified weren't always promoted. It was kind of like, what was your last name? Who were your parents, your relatives? And so that was who got the promotions and not based on qualifications. And they fought in formation, which made them a much, much easier target for the colonists. So when we look at now the colonists versus the British, based on these advantages and disadvantages, who do you think would win the war? And of course, we know the outcome, but only consider what is presented here. And you're going to complete the Google form and then return to the slideshow where you're going to learn about the important battles. This link here is just taking you here for now. You are going to want to, actually, it's not working for me here. You are going to want to go to this form here, and you are then going to fill in this today and who do you think would win, which side, based on the amount of time that was done. And then you are going to make sure that you give the 3 reasons based on what you learned. I'll be back with a second video, but thanks for listening to this one.